So everything that you need to get the field prepped before a game will be inside the chalk room. There's a chalk room on the side of each of the score booths. There is the large template for home plate. There's the chalker and a bucket of chalk and a measuring tape, as well as a temporary rubber in case you need to use one if it's not on the field. And also there's a nice little reminder taped inside to also help you out. Also, for prepping the field, you'll find the bases have normally been pulled. If you are the first game of the day, you'll find them in one of the dugouts, and the plugs will be attached. And another item will be a drag, which is either brush or a chain type drag. This one is softball 1. It's located right outside the first base. You have to remove a temporary rubber. Don't lift from an edge and peel it up because it will split. Use one of the tools, either a shovel, or else there's these tools that are normally inside each of the chalk rooms also that are used to dig dirt out of the anchor holes for the bases. But those work real well to just peel the base up very carefully, and then you can just lift it. Don't peel from one side. For first thing you need to do is make sure you have the correct pitching rubber. The permanent one on softball 1 is for the senior pitching distance, and for softball 2 it's the minors that has the permanent rubber. Temporary will have to be put in for any other age groups. To get your pitcher circle, it's very simple. You can just take a rake, put the tines pointing down, stand on the pitching rubber, reach out, and just make a circle in the dirt, and you're pretty much going to get yourself an 8-foot circle here that works just fine. So now you'll have a nice marking that all you have to do now is take your chalker out and around on that. Now when you lay down chalk, you do not need to use a whole lot. If you're the first game of the day, there won't be any chalk marks on the field. If you are not the first game of the day, if you are following the same age group, you're going to be pretty lucky. Your circle will be already drawn and you'll just have to kind of clean it up, touch it up, and go from there. If you are switching the pitching rubber, you will need to completely erase the old chalk line. So there you go, perfect pitching circle. Now for chalking the batter's box. There's a template that is in that chalk room. Biggest thing to remember is on this template there are arrows that are pointing, and that arrow needs to point out towards the pitching rubber. So you're going to take this template and you're going to line up those handles there right along with the home plate. Pretty simple there. And then you just unfold it, set it down, and then kind of do a quick little easy walk on it, because all that's going to do is get you some nice markings in the dirt to be able to make your chalk lines. So you do the one side, you lift it up, and then you're going to do the same thing. Make sure that the arrows are pointing towards the handle. Yeah, and the handle lines right up there with the edge, and you got your arrows pointing, and there you go. You're going to have some nice markings here now. One of the things you will find is that the batter's box does get pretty soft. It definitely does get soft. It needs to get watered down a little more often. Right-hand batter's box, of course, is going to be the softest since most of the kids are batting from the right side. Okay, so now we have the markings here, and you can see them in the dirt pretty well. Won't be a problem whatsoever to take the chalker now and do your outlines. If you follow another game, you'll definitely have to redo the batter's box. It always has to be raked down, dirt filled into the little divots that now everybody's put in there, and new lines put down. And there we go. We got our batter's box.
This line is 6 inches off the plate.
So that's going to be about 6 inches right there,
And 6 inches right
which
here.
is what the template will measure for you. Okay, that's why you use those handles all the way right against the base. Okay, so we have a batter's box. If you're not the first game of the day, there will probably already be lines on the field. The base lines for the foul lines do not change for any age group. It doesn't matter, they're all the same. So the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that you, it takes 2 people to do this, so you're going to have one person hold here, and the rope goes, the string here goes right along from home all the way straight down. And we can see that the old line was a little bit off. That's why we're doing this. And we have the plate that's going in, or we're putting third base in. And you notice that it will be, the base is in fair territory, so the string will be right along the edge of the base. So very simple. All we're going to do now is we will just take the chalk and go right over the string.
One thing you'll notice is it's not at the corner of the plate. It's about 6 or 7 inches behind the corner of the plate.
And that is correct. So it doesn't come right from that corner. This is the correct location for it. It lines up with home plate, and then you just chalk right over it. And if you're not the first game of the day, you may only need to touch up. You do not need to put layers and layers and layers of chalk on. But you can see that this last game, that things weren't lined up very well. That they went from the corner of the box, not from using home plate to line it up. So this is the correct line here, the outside one. And that's how we do that. And then you're going to come up to third base, and you'll lift it up over third base and just down to the edge of the grass. The umpires will then just use that line and line it up with the foul pole that's out there in left field. We don't chalk all the way down the grass. Okay, so now we're going to do the coach's box over by third base. So you put you're going to measure off 6 feet from the back of third base.
3.
Now here's a hint. If you wear a size 12 men's shoe, that's pretty much 12 inches. So that's a great measuring stick for you. And then you make a mark there. So that's 6 feet off the back of third base. And then you're going to go up 9 feet because the coach's box is going to be 6 feet off and 9 feet long. And ideally, our coaches stay in front of that box. So as you can see, you can mark it off with your shoes just fine. Same thing works when you're doing pitching rubber. If you have to put in a temporary rubber, the senior pitching is at 43 feet and junior pitching is at 40 feet. So you can just mark off 3 shoes. 3 men's size 12 shoes will give you 3 feet in front of the permanent rubber to put a temporary in. So now,
Line up the 2 marks.
just kind of, you make little marks in the dirt so you can see those, and you just kind of make a nice little straight line. And there's our coach's box, which of course our coaches will stay inside that box.
1, 2, 3.
And they're going to be 3 feet there, and just a little line. And there's our coach's box. Now over here we're going to do a batter's box.
Usually do that by the door of the dugout.
So near the door of the dugout, you don't want to go too close in. This field is great because it's a long enough distance away that we're in good shape, and pretty much you just, it's another 3 feet.
1, 2, 3.
So that'll be the center there. So it's going to be a 6 foot. Is that really any great technical thing? No, just make a nice circle, 3 feet, a 3 foot circle about, so it kind of keeps the kids contained in a certain area. And there you've got your batter's box for the home team. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get our first base foul line in. And we'll do the same thing here. There was a game here earlier, so there are some chalk lines left. If you're the very first game of the day, this will have nothing on it. So it's a lot easier to work with. And we're going to do the same thing again, where we're going to hold this down here, right along home plate in the angle. And you see it doesn't quite match up at the corner of the batter's box, and that is correct. And then we're going to have the rope line, and it's going to go between the the double first base. So the orange safety base will be located in foul territory, which is fine. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. So we're putting the bases in, we're removing the plugs that were there. Those plugs will go, just put them into the dugout because you'll need those later at the end of the day. So there's your plugs. And if everybody's put them in nicely, that's not a problem with any dirt. And now you can see that the rope line goes between the two. Okay, and there we go. And same thing, we can just then run our chalker right over our chalk line up to the grass. And this one looks like it was pretty good. So this one was pretty close on earlier on. All right, so we've chalked the first base foul line. And you can see the chalk mark goes right between the bases. The orange safety base is in foul territory. Now we're going to put in the running lane. And to determine where you begin the running lane, you go over to basically just kind of eyeball where the pitcher's rubber is, and then come straight across, and then you're going to mark off again 3 feet out, 3 feet from the foul line, and 3 feet from the foul line up by the bases. And you're going to make a little mark in the dirt so you can line yourself up, and then you're just going to take the chalker.
What you're going to do then is take your string and move it over. That's why you do the first base line last.
Okay, so you do the first base line last. So now that we can move our string over, so we're going to do that. And we're going to put it on our marks. And here is our mark. Okay. Okay, so there's our running lane. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chalk right over this. And we start basically where the pitching rubber is. And it ends at the back of first base. So that's the running lane. There we go. We have a running lane, and now we're going to make a batter's box here, or a on-deck circle near the gate. So again with 3, just so it's a little circle, not a giant area. And there we go, we got our on-deck circle for the visitors. Okay, so the very last thing is now the coach's box for first base coach's box. Don't need the string for it because it's not a very long line. And again, we're going to go 6 feet off. We're going to go 6 feet off the foul line. And
9 feet up.
And then 9 feet up. There's 9, and then there we go. There's 6 feet out. Same as on the other side. Very simple. It's only 9 feet long. Don't need to use a string to mark this one. And there's our coach's box, and of course that first base coach will make sure to hang out in that area.
This is 3 foot.
And this is also 3 feet off for here. So basically they have a 3 by 9 foot area that they're supposed to stay in. Okay, so now we have a lined field. We have, a little hard to see because of the sun right now, but we have a coach's box, on deck circle for home team. We've got a batter's box. We have a pitching circle, runner's lane, coach's box, visitors on deck circle, and the best part, softball 1, since it's been redone, has a really cool thing here that you're going to come over here to this valve, turn this valve, and what it does is it turns the sprinklers on to the infield, and that will help set the chalk, and it definitely helps to just to, you know, keep the dirt down, especially helps home plate to keep some of that. So these sprinklers will go and have them go like two sweeps, and that should do it. And then just come on over, come back here against the fence to this valve, and just turn it off. That's it.